Hey guys, so in this video we're going to cover the topic of quadratic formula, okay? In the last video we did factorizing, okay? And in cases where you can't factorize, what we're going to use is the quadratic formula. Um, Using the quadratic formula will also give you the same result as factorizing, but it tends to be a little bit more tedious, so that's why we try to factorize if possible. And if we can't factorize, then we use the quadratic formula, okay? Now, so again, remember a quadratic is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And for the quadratic formula, all we need to do is just memorize this equation, okay? And this equation gives you the value of x for which the quadratic is 0. And it is minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a, okay? The plus or minus sign means that you're going to get two values, okay? So let's do this. So identify, so in this one here, what we're going to do is we're going to identify the value of a, b, and c. So we know a is equal to 1, b is equal to 9, and c is equal to 20, okay? So using the equation, we'll get x is equal to minus b, which is minus 9, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 9 squared minus 4ac, okay? All divided by 2a, by 2 divided by 1, multiplied by 1, sorry, which is equal to minus 9 plus or minus the square root. 9 squared is 81. 81 minus 80 is 1, all divided by 2. So this would simplify to minus 9 plus or minus 1 divided by 2, okay? Which would equal, so you get two results. The first one, it'd be minus 9 minus 1 all divided by 2, and then we'll also get minus 9 plus 1 divided by 2. Minus 9 minus 1 is minus 10 divided by 2 is minus 5, okay? And minus 9 plus 1 is minus 8 divided by 2 is minus 4. Notice that this equation, we actually did not need to use the quadratic formula because we could have factorized it, okay? X squared plus, so we need two numbers. If we were to factorize, we need two numbers which would multiply to give you 20 and which would add up to give you 9. And in this case, it would be 4x and 4 and 5. So you get 4x plus 5x plus 20. Okay, then we factor out x, so we'll get x plus 4. In the last two terms, we'll factor out 5. We'll also get x plus 4. And therefore, we'll get x plus 4 multiplied by x plus 5. And again, if you put this equal to 0, we'll get x is equal to minus 4 and x is equal to minus 5, which is exactly what we got here. So you're going to get the same answer, okay? But this way just tends to make it a little bit, factorizing it is much easier, much quicker than having to write out the quadratic formula and solve for it, okay? So let's do this one now. So we have a in this case is 2, b is minus 45, and c is 3. So what we'll have is x is equal to minus b, which is minus 45, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 45 squared, minus 4ac, all over 2a, which is 2 multiplied by 2. Okay, so you get minus 45, which is 45, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, to 45 squared minus 4 multiplied by 2, which is 8. 8 times 3 is 24, so 45 squared minus 24, which is equal to the square root, when you use a calculator, the square root of 2001 all over 4. Okay, so now this, as you can see, looks very complicated because the square root of 2001 is 44.73253849. Okay, so it doesn't make sense writing that out, so we leave it like this. Okay, and therefore the two terms would be 45 plus the square root of 2001 all over 4, comma 45 minus the square root of 2001 all over 4. Okay, and if you want, depends on what your teacher wants, you could write this as a number, but again it wouldn't be a whole number. So notice that this shows you that this would have been impossible to factorize, okay, because it doesn't factorize exactly. So in this case we would have had to use the quadratic formula. Okay, so not always would you be able to factorize, and in this case we can using the quadratic formula is better. Okay, now in some instances what would happen, that you would end up having to find the square root of a negative number, because b squared minus 4ac isn't always positive. Okay, so let's say we have another example. We have x squared, we have 2x squared minus x plus 4. Okay, using the quadratic formula we'll have minus b, which is minus 1, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is minus 1 all squared, minus 4 multiplied by a multiplied by c all over 2 multiplied by 2. Notice inside here now, what do we get? We get the square root of 1 minus 4 by 4 to 16. 16 multiplied by 2 is 32. So minus 32 plus 1 is minus 31. We get the square root of a negative number. Okay, at this level we do not deal with the square roots of negative numbers. So if you ever encounter a situation where you have to find the square root of a negative number, all you say is no solution. Okay, later on when you reach CAPE level, you learn how to find the square root of a negative number. It's actually pretty simple, but yes. So if you ever encounter the square root of a negative number, just say no solution. And that's pretty much it for the topic of quadratic formula. All you need to do again is memorize this equation here, and once you sub in the values, it will give you the value of x for which the quadratic is 0. Okay, and that's it. And we call that and this equation is used to find the roots of the equation. Minus 5 and minus 4, this is what we call the roots of the equation, right? The values of x, which give the quadratic the value of 0, is referred to as the roots of the equation. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the topic of quadratic formula. Again, pretty simple, just one formula which you have to memorize. Okay, and that's it for this topic. Thank you all for watching.